How's it going, guys, and welcome to Out of Bounds. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, James Skrmetta. Now, I'm not in the business of calling myself a hero, but today, getting in front of this microphone, getting in front of this camera, I'm a hero. I woke up this morning in Hattiesburg, spent the weekend up in Hattiesburg for the USM State game, came home today. My allergies, my eyes are killing me. I ate at a Chinese buffet for lunch. I had to take my contact out in the parking lot and eat the buffet with one contact in, one contact out. So I've been fighting it all day, right? But I said no. I said I got to get in front of the mic. We got too much to talk about, baby. It happened. The first weekend of college football. Breathe it in. This is fantastic. A lot of stuff doesn't live up to the hype. A lot of stuff, people talk about and they love it, they want it, and they're excited. And then it happens, they're like, it might not have lived up to it. This weekend of college football certainly lived up to it. It's a glorious time of the year when football's back. Just like we did all the previewing, all the pre-show stuff. It's just nothing like it. It really is nothing like it, and especially that was the case in Hattiesburg. Real quick, we'll touch on the State Southern Miss game. I went up there. I've never seen the campus like that. It was an SEC feel at a Conference USA school that a couple years ago didn't win a game. It was unbelievable. It was a sold-out stadium, the largest attendance of all time, and packed, absolutely packed house. There was people, like if you ever go to Hattiesburg, there's a very small tailgating area. There was tents all over the campus. Places I've never even seen tents. Places I've never even seen people. I've never even seen people tailgate in areas. And it was so great, such a great atmosphere. The game was fantastic. Even though Southern lost, they were competitive. They only lost by, it was 34-16. So they hung in there. They covered. They weren't mismatched. Like last year when we lost 49-0 to this team last year. And State, as far as State goes, Dak didn't really impress me at all. The whole team just didn't look that good. As far as you can see why State is predicted to finish last in a really strong SEC West. So I think the game, even though State won, I think Southern came out of the game looking better. That's a team. If you can compete with State like that, then you can definitely compete in the Conference USA. You can definitely win 5-6 games with our schedule and get to a bowl game and get back to where you need to be. Had a great time. Saw a lot of people I haven't seen in years. Felt like I was back in college. While we were tailgating, it was just the same people we went to college with were there. And that's the beauty of college football. You go back. You go back. I don't want to say you go back home. I don't want to be dramatic. But you go back home. You go back to where you spent years and years. And like I said last week, a place where you spent hours of times in the library, late at night, studying, You really kind of became an adult at college because you're on your own and all that. So to go back there and to see everybody was fantastic. But we have so much to talk about today. So much stuff to talk about. We've got the first week of college football. Of course, we're going to talk about the big wins, the big question marks. I'm going to give you the first installment of the Fab Five, where I tell you who I think is the top 5 teams in the nation. The way you can look at that is the 4 playoff teams and the one on the bubble, baby. Okay, and the list is a complete reflection of how they played. So it's nothing to do with prior rankings, nothing to do with, I'm not picking one from each conference or anything like that. It's just the 5 best teams in the nation. Then I'm also going to let you know how I did with my funsies, just throwing against the lines, against the bookies, against Vegas. Who came out on top, Vegas or Jamie Vegas? All right, I'll let you know that. Then we got the MLS Minute, the world famous. Oh, nothing better. Finally, some soccer is back after a midweek break. And then at the end of the show, we're going to talk about, that's right, the NFL season's here. Patriots, Steelers, Thursday night. The last time, or that'll be the game before Friday's Out of Bounds. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Give you my predictione, but let's jump into college football. Big wins. A lot of teams had huge wins. Ole Miss, 76. They hung 76 points on it's UT Martin. Not a powerhouse by any means. But Ole Miss looked amazing. They're Chad Kelly. I hate to sit here and tell you I told you so, even though I love sitting here and telling you that I told you so. But Chad Kelly's the man. He's awesome. He 9 for 15, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. What are you going to do? Robert Nkemdiche, freak of nature. He caught a 32-yard reception, like a little screen pass, took it to the crib. He looked like a mix between Antonio Gates and DeMarco Murray. He was incredible. He's like 6'4", I think listed at 6'4", 296, and he looked like Reggie Bush. So Ole Miss is nasty. That's a nasty team. I think they're better than last year because, like I said, Chad Kelly, in my opinion, is better than Bo Wallace. They still have Nkemdiche, an older, better, more experienced Nkemdiche. Treadwell's back. That's going to be a sneaky team. Sneaky team in a really stacked conference. They could burst some bubbles and maybe craft a bubble of their own, for whatever that means. Then we had the first huge upset. Number 15 ranked Arizona State. A lot of hype behind them. This could be their year. You know, that was part of the whole Pac-12 depth. People were talking about how the Pac-12 might be the best conference in the nation, and Arizona State, teams like that were a big part of it. Well, they played non-ranked Texas A&M, and what happened? They went up there and got smacked around to the tune of 38-17. A&M was nasty, and it was not the A&M that we usually see. It wasn't this offensive juggernaut. If anything, their offense actually stalled a lot. They actually were struggling, and they flipped their quarterbacks in and out. Kyle Allen played most of the game, but he was spelled a few times by backups. But their defense is what was going on. Their defense looked a lot better than their offense, to be honest. And if A&M's defense can play like this all year, then they are going to be something to reckon with. Because their offense is going to be good. You know, someone has great offenses. But, man, Myles Garrett, he's close. He may not be there yet, but he's so close to that Clowney level where even when Clowney's not necessarily making tackles, making sacks, doing stuff like that, he's affecting the game on every single snap because he commands so much protection. You know, you could tell that Arizona State was forcing themselves to overcompensate for Garrett, which was letting the defense do whatever they wanted. They were blowing Arizona State's players up at the line of scrimmage, and that's the SEC conversation. You know, the SEC conversation is a different level of football. It's a different level of player. And A&M's brought in a bunch of recruiting classes that are in that top 5, top 10 recruiting class area. And even like Myles Garrett, you know, players like that who are just bigger, faster, stronger than what other teams are getting. And that they showed it. They owned the line of scrimmage. They dominated the game. It was never close. A&M looked scary this weekend. Also, UCLA, to stay out west, UCLA beat Virginia 34-16. UCLA's freshman quarterback Josh Rosen had probably the debut of the weekend. He looked like the best quarterback in the nation. My man went 28 for 35 with 351 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now Virginia's not necessarily the Baltimore Ravens of 2000. You know, they're not a defensive palace. But this kid's 18. Kid's 18 years old, and UCLA, they might not have a playoff team this year. They could, but they're going to be in contention for the next few years with him there. It would be a great time to invest in some Bruin football. Jim Morrow's finally got the quarterback. He's got that team going the right direction. UCLA could be a force to reckon with for the next 2 to 3 years, as long as Rosen's there. I mean, if he looks this good, and you got to think he's only going to get better, UCLA could be California dreaming of a national championship. Bama, big game. That's where College Game Day was this weekend. Over in Arlington, Texas, Bama versus Wisconsin. Bama had a lot of question marks, mostly for me, because quarterback controversy. You know, it's going to be Coker. It's going to be somebody else. They lost a lot of players. What are we going to do? What are we going to see from Bama? What we saw was a really, really, really good team. A really strong performance. 35-17, beat Wisconsin, dominated the game. But the story wasn't the quarterback. The story was Derrick Henry. 13 carries for 147 yards. That's an 11-yard per carry average, if you can do the math. All right, if running backs could win the Heisman, he'd certainly have a Heisman hopeful campaign started. Coker played well, played very well actually. He looked how people thought he was going to look last year. They thought he was going to come in, play like that last year, but we know that wasn't the case. He looked great this year. If Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban can coexist, if they can coexist and Coker can just manage the game, do what McElroy did, do what A.J. McCarron did. If he can do that, Bama will be just fine. They'll win the West. They'll do what Bama does. They'll get in the playoffs, and then probably, I guess, lay an egg, and Nick Saban will just kind of scowl. So this could be one of those years where Bama, just like the Patriots, that's when Bama seems to really win, is when you count them out. Just like the Patriots. You count them out, next thing you know, they're hoisting the Super Bowl trophy. We had Notre Dame. Notre Dame played Texas. Texas was one of those teams where you're sitting there, you're going, can Charlie Strong turn it around? Texas has had a lot of issues pretty much since Colt McCoy left. Colt McCoy left. Texas started losing. They started missing bowl games. They started just being at Mac Brown, got the boot. Charlie Strong comes in, kind of starts a whole new regime. Charlie Strong's a no-nonsense guy. He's kicking players off the team. He's putting in his style. A lot of people like Charlie Strong. A lot of people think he could turn it around. So, another year under his belt. He starts the season against Notre Dame, against Brian Kelly. And Texas, they looked awful. 38-3. This was a game where I'm not sure if Notre Dame is that good or if Texas is just that bad. It's a mixture of both. Undoubtedly. But Malik Zaire is the real deal. 19 for 22, 313 yards and 3 touchdowns. You can't ask for more. They did lose a big-time player, though. Terian Folston out for the year. Their running back out for the year with a torn MCL. So Zaire is going to have to do even more. I know he can. That's a big reason why Golson got the boot, because Zaire is so good. But now he has to carry the entire load. And if he can do what he did against Texas every week, then that's not going to be a problem. Notre Dame's a good team. They kind of do the same thing every year, too. They're a lot, you can kind of write down what's going to happen. But Brian Kelly is always going to put out a good product. There's no doubt, though, they started strong. And there is no doubt also that Texas has some serious question marks. And Charlie Strong's leash has to be getting shorter, because Texas has got – you talk about some money into a program. Texas is all about football. And they haven't been relevant in years. So something has to change. When Colt McCoy's arm exploded in the national championship game, that was it. That was Texas's football exploding. And since that moment, they haven't been relevant. A lot of changing going on over there, and there's been no results. So something's got to happen. And then the last game here, the last big win, not so much because of the score or because of who they played, but Florida State putting up 59 against Texas State. They beat them 59-16. The big thing here, the big storyline here isn't, like I said, it's not that they beat Texas State, or it's not that they beat them by 40 points. It's that Everett Golson fit in seamlessly, just like I said. Everett Golson looked fantastic. 19 for 25, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's the big number. Out of all these numbers I've told you, the biggest number is the number 0. Because Everett Golson's been plagued by turnovers his whole career at Notre Dame, and he goes to Florida State, and there's a lot of questions of, well, how is he going to fit in? He's only been there for a few weeks, and can he learn a new system? Can he learn a new place? That's not easy. And he fit in perfectly. Florida State's one of those teams where they're so talented, and the schedule's not impossible by any means. And if Golson can do what he did at Notre Dame at Florida State, then they'll be just fine. I feel fantastic about putting them in the playoffs. I feel great about putting them in the playoffs, and Everett Golson's the man. Just like I said on Skrmetta and Gunk last week, Golson, bigger crocodile, Jameis Winston. So write that down. A lot of question marks, too. Question marks with high-profile teams, highly ranked teams. Number 2 in the nation, TCU. What are y'all doing? Number 2 in the team in the nation plays Minnesota on the road. Why is the number 2 team in the nation going on the road to start the season? An unranked opponent. But anyways, unranked Minnesota, they beat them by 6. 6. Trevone Boykin, my man, what is you doing? TCU all of a sudden looks like the worst team in the nation. If they would have been playing anybody else, they would have got beat. Anybody else. If they would have been playing Notre Dame, oh my God, they would have lost by 30. Trevone Boykin, 26 for 42, 246 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Trevone, that ain't how you win the Heisman. Okay? That's not how you do it. I picked you to win the Heisman, and you let me down. Let me down big time. Number 5, Michigan State played Western Michigan. What a rivalry. A rivalry for the decades. And what happened? 37-24. Michigan State, figure it out because you got Oregon coming to town. Oregon-Michigan State is the big game next week. And both teams have a lot of question marks because Oregon's on this list too. Oregon played Eastern Washington, Vernon Adams' old school, against Oregon's new quarterback, Vernon Adams. He came from Eastern Washington 2 weeks ago. He was sitting in Eastern Washington's math class trying to pass to go to Oregon. A lot of storylines. Oregon beat him 61-42. The question here, though, Oregon, how you going to sit there and let Eastern Washington put up 42 points against you? You know, I mean, Oregon's always known for their offense, but you got to have a defense just a little bit. You got to play some defense. You know, I mean, Michigan State, that's going to be an interesting game because one of those two teams is you're going to see who the pretender is. You know, these two teams are coming off of 2 questionable wins, and one of them will be going home. One of them will not have a national championship hopeful season. You know, if Michigan State, one of these situations where if Michigan State beats Oregon, and we see that what Oregon is, we see that, you know, after Mariota and after all that stuff, it's just a year for them to step back. But at the same time, Michigan State could get dominated. Oregon, if they put up 60-something points, then we'll see what Michigan State is. And Michigan State's really the only Big Ten kind of challenge for Ohio State. So if Michigan State's on a down year too, Ohio State's even more locked up for the playoffs. Auburn, my pick for the SEC West. I said whenever I was doing the SEC quarterback rankings, I said that I didn't know anything about Jeremy Johnson. All I know is what people told me. All I know is that people said he's good, he's a better Nick Marshall, blah, blah, blah. He'll run the system, he's the man. Bet on him, love him, SEC champs, right? Wrong. Jeremy Johnson probably had the worst performance out of any starting quarterback of a big school this weekend. 11 for 21, 137 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. That ain't going to get it. That's not going to cut the mustard. Okay, I picked Auburn to win the SEC, picked them to go to the playoffs. There is no way in hell that happens with those kind of stats. With an offense like that, with Gus Malzahn as your coach, and you're putting up 137 yards with 3 picks, I don't think so. I don't know who the backup is at Auburn, but he needs to start getting his arm warmed up because he could be playing real quick. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the Fab Five. Who do I believe are the best 5 teams in the nation? This is filmed on Sunday night. So I haven't seen Ohio State play yet. They play Monday night. So this comes out Monday. You know, you'll hear me talking before Ohio State plays. So they could maybe look super duper stupid. But I'm going to put them at number 1. Ohio State Buckeyes, best team in the nation. Without a doubt. Unless they lose in a few hours. God, please don't let that happen. Number 2, I'm putting Bama in there. Big time surprise here, since I didn't even have them win the SEC 6 days ago. So I'm going to put Bama at number 2. I think that it's just one of those teams where you can see it real quick. You know, you can see what is Bama going to bring. Are they going to be kind of confused looking? Pretty much like last year. Like last year, they didn't look like a true Bama team. Derrick Henry and the defense, what they did to Wisconsin, I'm going to put them at number 2. Number 3, my boys, Florida State. What has happened here is I've put so much stock. I've put myself out on the limb with Everett Golson, right? By just supporting him, telling everybody I think he's better than Jameis Winston. Hot takes coming out of my neck. So I got to support these guys. And they went out there, looked great. Everett Golson pretty much called me before the game and said, hey, James, love your stuff. Love your vids. You're the future. Our local sports radio is awful. I listen to you all the time. And I said, Everett, everyone tells me that, baby. No local sports radio is doing what we're doing. And then he said, I got you. And then he hung up. And that was it. 4 touchdowns, no picks. 3 is Florida State. Number 4, theoretically the last team in the playoffs. Maybe not necessarily. Didn't mean to rhyme that, or did I? Number 4 is Ole Miss. You put up 76 points. You beat a team by 73. You're probably going to get on the list. You're going to catch my eyes. And Chad Kelly, he knows that he has a special place in my heart. He went out there and looked great. Kimjichi looked great. You already heard what I said about it. think Ole Miss right now, I got them right there. 4, the number 4 team in the nation. Number 5, honorable mention on the bubble, however you want to say it. Doesn't matter to me. It's Texas A&M. Whoa, James. A little SEC bias, right? 3 SEC teams? Look, I just made the list, okay? Don't kill the messenger here. I think at A&M, their defense. You have an offensive juggernaut whose defense looks stellar. So if their defense is that good, if Myles Garrett's that good, if he's Clowney-esque, all right, and I ain't joking, brother. If he's Clowney-esque and Kyle Allen can figure it out and that offense can stay on track, that's going to be a nasty team. In the SEC, I mean, let's not lie to each other. It's not the best conference in the world by having bad teams. So expect to see multiple SEC teams a lot because that's just how good they are down here in the South. You know, the South's known for 2 things. Incredible media personalities and football. Now, how did I do? This is going to get worse and worse, this little tally right here. This is how I did versus Vegas in the picks that I give all of you. I'll give them to you on Twitter. I'll give them to you on my multiple media outlets, whether it's this show, whether it's Skrmetta and Gunk, whether it's on my website, anything. Go follow me on Twitter. It's down here. Go follow me on Twitter for all the exclusive picks. So how did I do? Let's check them out. 1, USM plus 22. Got him. Check mark. Lost. Michigan plus 5.5. 5.5. Thanks a lot, Jim. Khakis look fantastic. That's a big old fat X. TCU minus 17. Not even close. X City. USM State under of 60. Easiest money I ever made. Check. And then Marshall minus 7. The most glorious backdoor cover of all time. It's just that's the happiest I'll ever be. Is the backdoor covers. A pick 6 in the last 2 minutes of the game gets me the cover. So I am officially in the green 3-2. That's where I'm at. I've won 3. I've lost 2. Anything over 500. If I'm batting over 500, I'm a Hall of Famer. All right, I'm a professional. I'm a professional odds maker. So we're gonna stay above 500. 3-2. If you got games, if you got picks, if you got all that stuff, hit me up on Twitter. You know, we'll do some banter. I'll give you some picks. I'll share the wealth. I'm like Robin Hood. I'm like a better looking Robin Hood. Now, it's finally back. I know last Out of Bounds, everybody was like, where's the minute? Where's the MLS Minute? And I said, there's no games. There's no games. I can't do the minute. There's no games. But we finally have some games. We only have 4, but let's get into them. Let's crank up the music. Let's get the scarf, the MLS Minute. Let's go. If you're watching the video version of the simulcast, you'll notice a good old-fashioned hard cut right there. It's what we call in the business a hard cut. When the frame, stop, boom, something else is going on, the scarf. I'm starting to do the minute. All of a sudden I realize it's freezing in here. My scarf's on the other side of the room, so I had to get up, go over there. And I'm not going to say I'm wearing slacks. We'll just put it like that. So, couldn't get all triple X rated on the video version. So that's why you got the hard cut. Now, executive producer, please stop making the people wait. Play the music. There it is. There it is. You could kind of see this one coming, right? Orlando City FC, no Kaká is no bueno. New England took advantage and laid it on them to the tune of 3-0. Goals from Chris Turney, Diego Fagundes, and Juan Agudelo gave the home fans something to cheer about up in Foxborough. Welcome back, Captain America. Clint Dempsey, the greatest American soccer player of all time. Right there. Scored a goal and provided an assist to Obafemi Martins as Seattle beat Toronto 2-1. Toronto's dealing with some serious holes in their lineup. Sebastian Giovinco is still out nursing his sore groin, so it's all pray for Sebastian. He has a quick recovery. That his groin kind of chills out for a second. They were also missing Josie Altor, who missed the game to go play for Team USA in a friendly. Thank God he did, because Josie captained America to a win as he scored 2 goals in a 2-1 win. Thank you, Josie, for all the Americans here. Then we got Philadelphia beat San Jose 2-1 with goals from super sub Connor Casey. Casey came off the bench to score 2 second-half goals. All goals in the game were scored in the final 25 minutes. That's why you don't go home. You buy a ticket, you got to stay the whole game because of stuff like that. Just ask Connor Casey. But the real story here, what I really want to talk about, is Didier freaking Drogba. Have a game, Drogba. Have a game. In his first MLS start, the Ivory Coast legend scored a hat trick with 3 incredible goals. The trap, the turn, the tenacity, pure class and skills from Montreal's adapted son. Canada's got a real issue because they got Drake and now they got Drogba. Drogba's quickly catching up to the sixth god. Drogba appears to be in the same camp as like Gerrard, Giovinco, Dos Santos, Keane, international superstars who treat the marvelous MLS, my favorite league in the whole world, like the Champions League. That's a huge part into it. You can't bring in these international stars if they don't care. And these guys care. I'm not saying that some of them don't. I'm not sitting here saying that Pirlo and Lampard don't. I'm just saying you can tell that some people really invest in this. Giovinco, Dos Santos, Gerrard, when they're out there, you can tell that to them, it's the same thing as a Champions League final. That has been the MLS Minute. It's been a short one. There's only 4 games. I'm taking a break, no midweek games. Only 4 games on Saturday. I'm looking at the clock. The level we're on here is unbelievable. This is perfect timing. We're about to end this in that perfect time slot for y'all. We're on your lunch break or on your ride home. You can flip this on, kill a quick half hour, and get what your local sports radio cannot do. Get what they fail out. That's what we try and do. We try and give you what they can't. Okay? So let's go ahead and finish this. The last thing we're going to talk about, the NFL's back. I got you know how on Thanksgiving when you eat and you get that pregnant food belly where you're just kind of laid up on the couch lounging, that hard lounge? That's how I felt all day today with college football. I was just like a college football hangover. I was hard lounging. I was lounging so hard. I was laying down. I got so horizontal, I got vertical. Okay? And I can't even move because I got Ohio State tonight, and then Thursday, the NFL's here. And then the weekend, oh my God. College football Saturday, NFL Sunday. I can't even stand it. The first game, we've got Pittsburgh visiting New England as New England raises the banner and number 12 takes the field. Woo! I tell you what, it's going to be an atmosphere. It's going to be an absolute atmosphere up there in Foxborough. People are going to be and then Roger Goodell's not even going. How's the commissioner not going to go to the first game of the season when the champs are raising their banner? It's not a good look, Raj. Not a good look. But anyways, Pittsburgh, from what everyone says, Pittsburgh looks great. Roethlisberger looks good. The offense looks good. Everything's clicking. They could have the best offense in the NFL. They walk in as 7-point dogs. A 7-point dog in the NFL is huge. You don't see, the most you'll see is like 11, 11, 12. You're not going to see like these lines like in college where you get like 24-point dogs. This is the NFL. So the fact that they're a 7-point dog, I might have to take Pittsburgh. But then again, I don't know. The mojo. Tom Brady is going to be playing like a man on fire. This is going to be a Tom Brady you've never seen before. But maybe, this could be like a conspiracy theory. Maybe they're going to be so hyped, it's going to backfire. They're going to be too hyped. They're not going to be focused because there's going to be just too much going on. Too much mojo. The fans are just going to be so powerful. Brady is going to be giving the middle fingers to Goodell so hard that it might take away from the game. If that's not true, if it all builds in and it gives them some extra mo, they could win by 200. I don't know what's going to happen in Boston. I don't know what's going to happen up there. But I know that Tom Brady is going to have one hell of a year. I do like the Steelers. I like Roethlisberger. I've said that he's one of the most underrated players ever. Probably the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. But I cannot wait for Thursday night. I cannot wait for football, officially all football, to be back. It's a beautiful time of the year. My prediction, my pick, gun to my head, the millions and millions watching right now. Let's do it. F it. New England, -7. Stamp. Hit the stamp on it. Let's go, Patriots. I think they're going to win. I think, like I said, it's just too much. Tom Brady's going to be playing like a man possessed. He has exercised the demon that is Roger Goodell. Giselle is probably just all over him whenever at the house. Brady, Stone Cold Steve Austin, smashing the beers, guzzling the beers, hit Goodell with a stunner, went home. Giselle's there. Oh, what a guy. What a life. What a guy. The second best American next to Clinton Dempsey. So I'm taking Pats. I'm giving Pittsburgh 7 points. Telling them to shove it. Sit on it. New England all the way. Football will be back the next time you see me. The next time you hear the Out of Bounds music, besides the outro, football will be totally here. And I can't wait to see you then. I cannot wait to talk to you about everything that happened. Enjoy it. Catch me on the James Skrmetta Experience tomorrow night. And then, of course, Thursday, you can hear me and Corey Gunkel on Skrmetta and Gunk, the podcast only. It's incredible. The first episode was last week. If you haven't checked it out, go to my website. It's all there, baby. I am your host, James Skrmetta, and this has been another successful episode of Out of Bounds. Have a great week, guys.